Hello, hello! Orest is here. Usually I'm reporting from Ukraine lately, but this video is unique because we are now in Croatia. And the reason for that is together with my wife we set on the road to do the representative work of our country internationally, establish some contacts with different organizations in order to continue supporting Ukraine. So we did some productive time in Italy, in Trieste and the other northeastern provinces, in Udine. And now we are going to the conference in Dubrovnik, which is going to be fruitful, as I suppose, as well. But before that, there is 600 kilometers drive along the Croatian coast, which today we are going to explore together with you guys. Let's go! The first city we are passing by is Rijeka. Actually, it's the third largest town in Croatia. I must tell that I feel pretty comfortable in Croatia. It feels almost native to me as the guy from Ukraine, because first of all, we both share the Slavic family of languages. Yes, Croatian is more or less similar to Ukrainian, so the word Rijeka, the name of the city, yes, we are passing by, means Rijeka is like a river, like Rika in Ukrainian language, which makes it feel very, very warm. Also, we share some lines part of the history together. So during the Austro-Hungarian Empire times, for over than 150 years, Lviv, my native city, was part of the same jurisdiction, the same country, together with Croatia, and Rijeka was one of the major ports of this entire area. So I kind of like feel here pretty much almost like at home. Another thing that Croatia and Ukraine shares is recent wars, right? Croatia experienced some terrible times during not long time ago, like over 25 years. They were also struggling for their independence. So now all the Croatian people support Ukraine a lot. And that is one of the reasons I came here, because on the conference we are going to be participating with my wife together. They will be raising some matters in order to support Ukraine, and that's really encouraging. Obviously, the main beauty of Croatia is its coastline. It's so beautiful, it's almost impossible not to speak or admire it. However, I don't want to turn this into the regular travel video. We have much more important goal on this trip, which should be focused on helping Ukraine at war. So simply, let's carry on. Today is a long way, all the way down to Dubrovnik. I must say that the infrastructure in Croatia is quite impressive. It's much on the higher level than other neighboring countries. And this is vital for the economy of the country, which is based on tourism mainly. So such a distant places like Dubrovnik, where we're going now, is actually like 700 kilometers from Zagreb, from the capital, and now it takes like approximately 7 hours probably to drive from there. However, without these highways, without the tunnels, it probably took like 2 days before the highway was built. And one of the biggest projects recently is Plejevski Most, which is Plejevski Bridge. In Croatia. We're just approaching it. This is a huge, it's like one of the biggest bridges of Europe, but it will be finished like pretty soon, I suppose. And this is made in order to connect like area of Dubrovnik with the rest of Croatia, because now if you want to travel there, you have to cross a small piece of Bosnia, which actually stops Croatia to join the Schengen zone. So once this actually bridge, you can see now, when it will be finished, hopefully Croatia will join the Schengen, and it will be such an improvement for logistics and reaching Dubrovnik from the rest of the country. The bridge is expected to open this summer, and in the meantime we simply have to cross a small piece of Bosnian territory, which is actually the only access of this almost a landlocked country to the Adriatics. It's only about a dozen kilometers, which still makes a difference for logistics and for economy for this country as well. From here Dubrovnik is very close, and we can't wait to be finally settled down and meet all the people down there. Okay, here we are in Dubrovnik. Many of you guys might know me as the avid traveler. In fact, I have visited over 100 countries around the world, being a digital nomad, meaning working remotely, conducting online business for more than a decade. Obviously, when the war in Ukraine started, this completely changed my priorities. So I came here not for the recreational reasons, not even simply to do the networking, but rather to serve as the ambassador of Ukraine. And that's how I continue raising awareness about the events in Ukraine, providing more and more help from our partners. Please meet Tanya, the main organizer of this event, and I'm super grateful to be actually here. So can you just tell us what's actually happening down here?
Sure. Thank you, Orest. We are at the Workplace Culture Conference, which is run by the City of Dubrovnik, Tourist Board of Dubrovnik, the Croatian National Tourist Board, with Total Croatian News, and my business, which is Saltwater, the Digital Nomad Association Croatia too. So this event is the third year we're holding an event around digital nomadism and remote work in Dubrovnik. So it's great to be here, build this momentum, invite international guests. It's probably the most people we've had since the pandemic, and that will only grow. So thank you for coming, and come to Dubrovnik.
What is the aim of your event? Because it sounds, it's a culture, work, place. Definitely you have some idea behind it.
Sure.
To probably map out Dubrovnik for digital nomads or for other people, or you consider this as the conventional travel destination?
Yeah, great question. So as the name implies, it's a play on the idea of workplace as well as place and culture. And so it's bringing together the fact that we're all able to work remotely and from anywhere, but uniting that conversation with the destinations and the remote workers. So it's at the intersection of where we're at. So this evolution of tourism and work is the best way I can explain it.
Sounds exciting. Thanks a lot for the invitation. That means a lot to me in such a crucial time that Ukraine now is living through. And by being here, I'm carrying on the mission to continue speaking and spreading the word about events in Ukraine by participating in these type of events.
Exactly.
Because Dubrovnik is a great inspiration for my native city Lviv. There are many things in common, and after today, guys, we're going to explore a little bit about the city, touching at history and getting to know the town a little bit better.
Caroline on the screen. Hello Caroline, how are you? Caroline was one of the Dubrovnik's digital nomads residents last May 2021.
This is the question to Sarah actually, and the story of remotely is very inspiring, which really stands out within the other job matching companies. So my question is regarding the conscious approach of your company. I'm from Ukraine, and all of you know that our country is facing the war, and what happened is that male actually stayed in the country to fight, and over 6 million refugees left Ukraine. Most of them are women and children. So they also usually are very skilled, they work remotely, and Ukraine is one of the largest remote working countries. I am local influencer as well, with an audience of over 100,000 people, and over 60% of those are women who are my followers. So my question to you is your company maybe able to create some kind of specific Ukrainian campaign to help women in Ukraine get the remote job?
And if that's possible, because we see the example that many companies around the world support in different matters this, in that case we can talk more about this, and I will be able to really provide a tremendous support from my side to spread the word within Ukraine, and we can make some really impactful project in this case. It will be really cool, I think.
100%. I do want to say, you know, two girls sitting right behind you, Theodora and Andrea, hosted refugees from Ukraine in their homes during the early stages of the war, and you know, we were supporting them to do that through remotely. So it's been an issue very close to our heart. We have an email address, ukrainejobs@remotely.com, I believe it is, and have kind of worked with some other companies to make sure we're on lists where Ukrainian refugees, or I mean any Ukrainian really, knows that, you know, we are putting active efforts to help place them into remote work and remote positions, and this is a big focus of ours, something we're very passionate about doing. So yes, let's collab.
Now we are going to have a small break and simply walk around the cobblestone streets of Dubrovnik, exploring this really magnificent city. From the first point of view, Dubrovnik seems to be like a classic Mediterranean city. However, it is very, very unique. In fact, starting from the late Middle Ages all the way until the Napoleonic conquering of Europe, this used to be the capital of independent Republic of Ragusa. It was like the flourishing time for those areas, and many Croats associate the development of their national literature particularly with Dubrovnik. Looking at all of this architecture, yes, the impressive streets and other like this imposing building like this church, for example, we can understand that it was a very flourishing country. At some point it was even rivaling nearby Venice in the Adriatics, and that's actually why it managed to stay independent for such a long time, thanks to trade and skilled diplomacy. Nowadays Dubrovnik serves as the main travel town of the entire area. And I would say that it's nothing new for this glorious city, because it was always very crowded. It used to be the center of trade between the Ottoman Empire in the east and other Italian-influenced area in the west. So basically, it was always a bustling place in this region. In order to appreciate how impressive is the city, you have to climb the city walls, which actually we just did right now, and from here you can see a harbor, and actually the ship is just coming in. That used to be the old historical harbor, and now we are going to walk along those impressive city walls. Just take a look at this bastion, yeah, which used to serve as the, I don't know, like extra protection point. Also, what I have been told that, since the COVID is almost over, many citizens of Dubrovnik for centuries were living through the curfew. It means that during the daytime there was an active trade happening, people were meeting each other, doing some deals, making plans and so on. However, for night, every non-resident of the town had to leave the city walls, which have been locked for the entire night and then reopened again during the daytime. So citizens of Dubrovnik experienced these living conditions much earlier than we nowadays. One of the saddest pages in the recent history of Dubrovnik happened in the early 90s. Croatia was fighting the war for independence and Serbian troops actually approached the town of Dubrovnik and were standing on those hills. The city was under siege for a couple of months, and there have been shellings of the historical part of Dubrovnik.
But here, because we were surrounded, from one point on you could no longer leave. There were ships that were bombarding the city from the sea, there were airstrikes and there were artillery strikes, but basically you were locked in Dubrovnik. There was no electricity, no water, and we spent that entire year in our basement. So one thing I always like to mention is, like, I live in a historic house, and we were very lucky to have this historic cistern that collected the rain. So this infrastructure of Dubrovnik actually came in handy during the last conflict. So we had no school that year. The war really went on into May of 1991. There was daily shelling, there was sirens for airstrikes, land strikes, so you would actually, depending on the siren, you would know how fast you needed to run to shelter. The irony of this war for us is that because Dubrovnik was a very diplomatic place in history, it had not gone to war for 500 years. And so the 90s conflict was really, for people here, it was something, what is going on? Because this is a city which actively tried to keep the peace. The 90s for us were truly tragic, but then very quickly tourism actually started picking up again. In the year 2000, CNN had us listed for one of the top 10 millennial destinations, and then in 2010 we had to start turning people down, and so 2022 is again now a new beginning.
How badly the Dubrovnik was devastated? Like, what was the physical damage that happened to the city?
So inside the old town, 70% of the buildings were damaged to some extent. We used to say that actually, if you look at these roofs, look over the wall, you can see that these roofs below us, they have different tiles. Some are pale and old looking, and some are bright orange. We used to say that wherever you see an orange roof, it's an indication that the roof was replaced during reconstruction. However, it's been 30 years and several more roofs were replaced in the meantime just for old age. But basically, 3/4 of what you're looking at had some sort of physical damage to it.
This was a great shock for the international society because, as you might know, central historical part of Dubrovnik is part of the UNESCO Heritage List, which is of a tremendous value for the international society. So once this happened, when the bombs were landing down on the cobblestone streets, the entire world started to watch all those horrors that happened in Croatia. Then it led to some isolation of Serbia and Serbian forces, and eventually, after a couple of months, Croatia got its independence. Obviously, this reminds me on the situation that is now happening in Ukraine, and my native city, Lviv, is also the historical and architectural masterpiece. I've got another video where I'm talking about the UNESCO heritage of Lviv in Ukraine, which has to be saved. So please take a look if you're interested and if the culture is of much essence to you. And obviously, Croats serve as the great inspiration for us in our resistance and war for independence. Nowadays, Dubrovnik is a very popular travel destination. People are walking along its walls, some tourist ships are arriving, and everybody wants to appreciate part of its history, parts of its beauty. This is the highest point of the city, I don't know, maybe 200 meters above the sea level probably, and just check out an amazing view. So from here you can get an idea of the town, how dense, how packed is it. And one of the coolest part is this modern sport yard over there. So it's a nice combination, yeah, of old and new, and actually the town is very, very sophisticated at the moment. Something also to keep in mind is that Dubrovnik is not only about the old town. This is a bustling, modern city with some more new areas. Here, this is the headquarters, the neighborhood behind the wall, right? So the city is stretching there for a couple of kilometers. It goes up to the hill as well, where the normal people live with their own residences. Here in the middle of the tourism frenziness, I can see a guy who is simply taking care of his garden. What a nice approach. He could easily use this land differently, following the corporate and financial path. However, he just decided to carry on with probably his family or his own tradition. So sweet. Digital Nomads are also a group which find Dubrovnik as one of their hotspots. So let's ask one of the leaders of Digital Nomad community of Croatia what they're doing to make the city hospitable not only for, timely tourists, but also people who come here for a longer period of time. So meet Jan. Jan, hello.
Hi.
Jan, you're the head of the Association of Digital Nomads of Croatia, right?
That's right, yeah.
So the beauty of Digital Nomads is that they are not temporary travelers, right? They visit some place, they integrate, and they really make an impact in the local economy. And I believe for such towns as Dubrovnik, where the winter is the low season, Digital Nomads are a perfect target audience to approach.
I would agree. Dubrovnik, I think, was one of the first cities in the country that realized that the tourism that it was having was no longer sustainable. And that's why they also were among the first cities actually in Croatia that really made efforts to welcome remote work professionals, digital nomads, by opening up co-working spaces and hosting phenomenal events. Over the past 2 years we've had 2 amazing events here already, including the Digital Nomad in Residence program. And now we are here at the Workplace Culture Conference, where we welcome speakers from all around the world. Many of them are digital nomads, and we're super happy to be joining here all together in beautiful Dubrovnik and to talk about sustainable tourism, year-round tourism offered to us by remote work professionals.
What do you do in the association in order to attract those year-round visitors as digital nomads?
Well, I would say that we are not making perhaps very strong efforts to attract them. What we try to do is that when they come to Croatia, that they really feel welcome and that they find community here. And hopefully by being very good guests, we are organizing all kinds of events. We launched a digital nomad help desk that they can call if they have any kind of questions. So in Croatia, as a digital nomad, you really don't have to be alone. And we hope that by giving them a very good impression about Croatia, that they will at the end do the marketing for us by talking with other digital nomads, and hopefully many of them will therefore find their way to Croatia.
That's amazing. I think this is the future, right? Because people just became much more so mobile, they all work remotely and they are free to travel the world. And once they found their spot that they really like, it makes sense to stay there. And I think Dubrovnik is the great inspiration for many destinations all around the world.
Yeah.
For me personally, guys, as well, I've been here a couple of times, and our conference is still not finished, but I'm already planning when I'll be able to come back here again. I sincerely hope that after the war in Ukraine is finished, my native city Lviv will become another hotspot for digital nomads, expats and other people from all around the world. So I am coming back to Ukraine, taking the lessons from Croatia and Dubrovnik, continuing to resist in our war for freedom and self-identity. And once we are done, I'm looking forward to see you in Ukraine. So stay tuned, and until the next video, good luck!